2025. Could we all please salute the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If we could all remain standing. On December 9th, 2025, the community lost a beloved pillar to the community, Joseph T. Crowley Jr., at the age of 86. He passed away, leaving behind his beloved wife, Audrey Crowley, and daughters Megan and Ellen Crowley, and 5 grandchildren. Joe was a teacher at the Kennedy Junior High in the 1960s and served on the Woburn School Committee for 38 years, from 1970 to 2011. And through this experience, he became a backbone to the committee in this very room that we're standing here now. Joe made numerous contributions to youth athletic programs and the public education system. Please, let's all observe a moment of silence to reflect on the life and of Joe Crowley. Thank you.
Good job, Ellen.
Good job.
Good doing.
Could the superintendent please call the roll?
Mr. Austin.
Present.
Ms. Chisholm.
Here.
Ms. Cormier.
Present.
Mr. Lipset. Present. Mr. Morenin.
Present.
Ms. Wetzel. Ms. Crowley.
Present, so we're all accounted for, and I see that we have a quorum. Moving on to public comment. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to come and speak before the committee tonight?
Hello, everyone. My name is Blake Goodwin, 91 Mishwam Road. I was here a few weeks ago, so you might remember me. Big vote night, so I got a haircut and actually wrote some notes down.
I'm sorry, sir, I'm going to interrupt you. You have 3 minutes to speak. You are being recorded, and if you could please refrain from any direct attacks on the Woburn Public School staff. And I'll
good.
restart your time. I'm sorry, Mr. Goodwin. Apologize.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Wanted to come and speak on behalf of a vote for the buffer zones tonight. And I know this is for a forthcoming vote, but also executed in a fashion where currently enrolled families are grandfathered into their current schools, and new enrollees are subject to the new district map until everyone is through the transition. I think I wanted to start off with kind of a vote for this buffer or transitional districts or components. I think does a good job in really supporting the initial idea and vote that the school committee had for a transitional phased approach to this overall. In that, you know, the transitioning of the enrollees in these districts is even more fluid than perhaps the stepwise function that I think is otherwise a potential to be carried out, which then leads me to a couple of the other components that I voiced support for the last time I was here, in that, one, this method will effectively eliminate what I think we all know is the impact of moving students across schools and the impact that that would have on those those students and the families that are part of these school communities. I gave the example last time that when this first came up, my children were in kindergarten last year, and it was, you know, something to consider. And now that we're in first grade, halfway through, we're even that much more entrenched as part of the Harold-Wyman community, as an example. And then furthermore, I think it puts to rest the risk of a bunch of these families that are going to be hanging in limbo with any other methodology. The Harold-Wyman, for example, I think has about 30% of the school that will be hanging in limbo if we do kind of any other direction. And that is directly counter to one of their goals of belonging. And I know there was some concern about the potential for neighbors at different schools, and I think I voiced last time that that's going to be inherent in any type of district lines. So I think when you consider the other aspects that I pointed out in comparison to that, I think it's kind of the other components or the other aspects are much more significant. So I'd like to have everybody consider everything I said tonight And again, like I said last time, kudos to everybody. I know this is a big job, and love the work that everybody's doing, and wanted to voice that support on some craft paper. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Goodwin. If you'd like to leave your craft paper with Mr. Cloud, you may.
It's going to be needed later.
Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to come and address the committee? Hey, Ms. Tisdale. Nice to see you tonight.
Nice to see you. All right. Alex Tisdale, 5 Majority Lane. As a Malcolm White redistricting parent rep, I wanted to speak tonight in support of the adoption of flexible assignment areas, buffer areas, gray zones, whatever we're calling them at this point, in the redistricting process at this time. Flexible assignment areas provide a balanced approach that helps manage enrollment changes, reduce overcrowding, and preserve stability for schools and families over time. This option allows the district to respond thoughtfully to shifting demographics while minimizing disruption and maintaining equitable access to high-quality education for all students. Additionally, it keeps separate programming stable at this point, which is one of our guiding principles. I also wanted to speak tonight in support of flexible assignment areas for our middle schools until we can come up with another option to relieve the space issues, whether that be a new building or renovations. Either way, I think the time is now to create better balance and ensure for equal access to quality education and educational environments in both schools. Lastly, I wanted to express my deepest gratitude to both committee members Andrew Lipsett and James Austin for their service, dedication, and commitment during their tenure here on the school committee. Your work has helped drive meaningful, positive change for our students and our community, and your impact will be felt long after. As a parent paying close attention, I see the time, heart, and soul you both have put into this position, and I truly can't thank you enough for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Tisdale. Is there anyone else that would like to come and address the committee?
Good evening.
Would you like a water, sir?
No, thank you.
Okay.
I'll chug my way through my 3 minutes.
No problem.
Good evening. My name is Bill Callahan from Kennedy Road in Woburn, and I was just wanting to make a few comments relative tonight to the non-discrimination policy that you'll be voting on, I believe, later on tonight. I understand it's somewhat of a boilerplate policy, and I appreciate that. And it does note that the Woburn would not exclude from participation a whole list of individuals, including based on race, color, sex, orientation, age, activity, military service, marital status, and I think called gender identity. And I caution the committee to consider that term in the policy as it relates to Title IX, which the federal government voted in 1970, and unfortunately I'm dating myself to say that I was involved in the discussion of that back in 1970. Title IX created equal opportunity to females. Back in 1970, only 7% of high school athletes were women, because basically there were no programs for women. Today I'm guessing it's 50% plus or minus. So the gender equity thing is important, whether the use of the restrooms, locker rooms, etc. It's a difficult decision to make, I understand. But I think it deserves a robust discussion. I'm not sure whether we'll have it tonight or later on. But I also would refer you to Item 5 on the front page of that, which says that the committee will consider carefully in all discussions made within the school district the potential benefits or adverse consequences that those decisions might make on human relations. So like so many things before you every night, there are 2 sides to the coin. There's always a plus and always a plus on the other side. It's a difficult decision, I understand, but I think it deserves a robust discussion, and I hope it takes place. and I use the rest of my 12 seconds to get up, clear my throat, and leave. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Callahan. Is there anyone else that would like to come and speak before the committee? I didn't finish my sentence. Hi, good evening.
Good evening. My name is Lindsay Meehan. I live at 24 Middle Street. And I'm also here tonight to support the gray area and transitional components buffer zones approach. Last year's redistricting moved many students and affected those who stayed behind as their classmates and friends shifted. And I think that to continue to move small pockets of students over the next couple of years will continue to disrupt our students and our school communities for the foreseeable future. The adjustments that we adopted last year were understood by many as a major step towards resolving the near-term capacity concerns that we're facing, and I think that it's reasonable and fair to allow these changes to stabilize. The gray area flexible components model is effectively used in other cities and towns, like the one I grew up in, Arlington, and I think that this approach provides a better means to address longer-term changing capacity needs. It strikes the right balance between supporting the longer-term plan while providing a stable and predictable experience for our kids. Our students and community deserve that. So I respectfully ask you to consider implementing buffer zones tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else that would like to come and speak before the committee? Good evening, Ms. Peters. How you doing tonight?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Emily Peters for Summit Street. I just wanted to offer anecdotally that my son went to a preschool in a district that had flexible buffer zones, whatever we're going to call them. So when he was leaving preschool the summer before, I had the parents over for his birthday party, and they were all discussing, oh, what school do you think your child's going to? Maybe mine will go to Dalton, maybe mine will go here. It wasn't a stressful conversation. It was just a perspective that they just accepted it. So I think it's all about the perspective of it, that if we look at it like it's a scary thing the parents won't know until last minute, it becomes scary. If we look at it from the perspective of it's how it is, they may not know until the summer before, it's not so big of a deal. It just is what it is. And I think the same could be true for the buffer zones in the middle school. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Peters. Is there anyone else that would like to come and speak before the committee tonight? Hi, good evening, Mr. Kuberi. How are you doing tonight?
Hello, I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm okay.
Yes, I'm Morgan Kuberi. I live at 6 Blake Street. We're a Harold Wyman family. I'm here actually just to read this on behalf of Rachel Kuberi, who some of you may or may not have heard of. But she couldn't be here, so I'm going to read this on her behalf. First and foremost, I want to thank Mr. Lipsett and Mr. Austin for their service to the community and the students of Woburn Public Schools. Andrew, whether it was during a pandemic, the WTA strike, or the redistricting, you didn't have a smooth road as a member of the school committee, yet you offered your service to our city with humility, compassion, and transparency. I thank you for that. The district is in a better place because of your service. Thank you. And James, while your tenure on the committee was short, you brought important issues to light and helped to ensure that every child and family was seen and considered. You have a gift for listening to the community and being a voice for those who can't reach out themselves. I look forward to your continued service to the students and families of Woburn Public Schools from over here on the sidelines. Thank you for all that you've done for our community. And on to some quick business. Please vote tonight to adjust the middle school lines via the buffer zones or flexible assignment areas. We cannot continue to march forward allowing one middle school to be 25% larger than the other despite having less physical space. This doesn't align with the guiding principles of the redistrict. Please act to change this tonight by adding in buffer zones to the middle school district lines. And while you hopefully move forward to implement buffer zones at the middle school level, I urge you to consider this at the elementary level too. This solution matches the magnitude of the problem at the elementary school and will let us test out this potential solution to see if it works before we are in a more dire situation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else? Okay, seeing none. Moving on to City Council Liaison to the School Committee. Councilman Viola was not able to be with us tonight, but I'm going to read a quick statement from him that he asked me to, if you would indulge me for 1 minute. Good evening, members of the school committee and school administration. I want to thank you for allowing me to sit here with you for the past 4 years as the city council liaison. During those 4 years, I learned a lot, and many great things were accomplished collaboratively between the school committee and the city council. Unfortunately, going into my next term as city councilor, I do not have the time to serve as liaison to the school committee. I look forward to working collaboratively with the board and the administration to ensure that Woburn Public Schools continue to thrive. We have many challenges that will need to be faced head-on shortly, such as the new North Woburn Elementary School with ECP, rising budgets, and continued redistricting. Though I won't be there for every meeting, know that I will continue to follow what is going on. I look forward to appearing in front of the school committee in the future. Thank you again for allowing me to serve as a city council liaison for the past 4 years. Respectfully, Charles Chuck Viola. Thank you, Mr. Viola, on behalf of the committee for your service for the last 4 years. Student representative to the school committee, Representative Castaldi, does not appear to be here. Dr. Crowley?
They have a concert tonight at the high school.
Oh, okay. Reasonable. We will not mark her as absent. Reports and presentation of superintendent and staff. It looks like redistricting is on for A.
So I won't belabor the point, but before we turn it over to a vote, I just wanted to say thank you to the school committee for taking this so seriously. I want to thank the parent advisory group that has had multiple opportunities for meetings and input. We've tried to factor all of those opinions in and present them out. I would be remiss if I don't say thank you to the staff and the leadership at the schools, at elementary and middle schools, that we've been talking about redistricting for a number of years at this point. Their flexibility has been well received. And so with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to really the person who knows redistricting and drives through the city of Woburn, thinking in components now, Miss Assistant Superintendent Courtney Young, for a brief presentation just to kind of contextualize the decision before you. So, Ms. Young.
Ms. Young, I'm just going to grab the light.
Yeah, please. Lights, please. I don't know if this is the site. I don't know if we have the slide deck. It's okay because everyone probably has it in paper in front of them too. This is, where are we in the slide deck? At the end. I don't know where this is hooked up to. Yep, that's the
Jean,
end.
is it on it?
Perfect, yep, you can just go all the way back to the beginning. There we are. Perfect. All
There
right.
we go.
I know, well, I've seen all of these slides in different orders and all of the above. All right. So this evening, I'm just going to, I've kind of truncated the presentation that we have seen on previous committee meetings, but wanted to just remind kind of the decisions that we've had, that tonight we're really looking at a vote of a direction to go, and that implementation will take place in the month of January, and so we'll be able to talk much more about specifics then. This is really just kind of picking a path. All right, so if we go to the next slide, this is just a reminder of the timeline that we followed. And as we said at the beginning of this process, really we're establishing something so that we can be looking at maps every single year, and that this was really our first run through of a process. And so again, we're looking, hopefully once this is complete this year, to continue to review this process on how it can look for each year. But again, we began, of course, looking at what the city looks like, and I'm meeting with the city department. We've had multiple work with Ms. Wetzel through the Resource and Capital Planning Subcommittee. We've met with our redistricting advisory committees, as well as obviously with this committee throughout the evening, which just brings us to tonight on December 17th. And so if we go to the next page, you also have a bigger version of this, because I know sometimes when we're talking about components, you want to kind of remember where things are. And so this is just a reminder of last spring, the decision was made for an end map, so that each year, if we needed to make adjustments or movements, we had a path or a road map to follow. And of course, this is the phased map that we determined at the end of last year, which you have in front of you for your reference. And just a reminder, if you'll see up between the Linscott Alta Vesta, there's that A4, which is our current, and we're going to go with buffer zones is the word, our current buffer zone. is A4, and that's already been utilized. So just a reminder of an existing structure that we have in place. So if we go to the next slide for our elementary, what we've been looking at is a continued, a continued phased approach by moving more components for the upcoming school year, and I'll remind you what that looks like. Then we have determining additional buffer zones. Again, I did not change any of the slides because I wanted it the same that you've seen, but buffer zones is the word that's used by most of our surrounding communities. And so again, to the public comment this evening, that this is something that is used in other communities, so we wanted to take the terminology that's used by surrounding towns as it made it easier for context that it's not just us. So to determine additional buffer zones for the upcoming school year. And again, that would not be deciding tonight which buffer zones. That would be through implementation. It's just the decision that that's the direction we're going to go. Or make no adjustments at this time and evaluate next year whether we want to make one of the above decisions. Through our previous meetings, we've gone over really like this, the pros and cons of each of these. I'm not going to do that part this evening, but I'll just a reminder of what these look like. So the continued phased approach by moving more components, the recommendation would be moving component G10 from the Goodyear to the Shamrock, shifting programming that's existing at the Shamrock to the Harold Wyman, and then moving component H3 from the Harold Wyman to the Malcolm White. This would be doing some reduction in general education classrooms at the Goodyear. This would reduce bubble rooms at the Harold Wyman, as well as move us towards our closer map. On the next slide is just a reminder of what this looks like for movement and student enrollment. The next slide, which is our buffer zones, and you also have a color version of a draft version that Sanborn provided for us so that you could see what it would look like if we were to be having a gray buffer zone map. We will, of course, again, through our work at the policy subcommittee, determine the policy related to how this is determined, as well as do a little bit more work with Sanborn to determine exactly which components for recommendation. All of that will be brought through this committee through implementation in January, February. But again, just so that you have context kind of what it would look like, this is what our buffer zone map would look like. And these are some of the recommended buffer zones. One of the reasons it's helpful to look at what components you would potentially move is that it can help you really kind of acknowledge which zones we might want to consider as buffers, which is why we look at both hand in hand. And so again, these are our possible buffer zones. All students currently living in these components would be grandfathered in, and really we're looking at new enrollment, which is what the practice was used in A4. And the next slide is just the buffer zone map, which you have in front of you. And then if we go to the next slide, the third option for elementary would be to make no adjustments and just evaluate for next school year. So we may make the decision that at this time we're not ready to do buffer zones or make any adjustments, and we choose to just do the same process we did this year, next year, and decide at that point what we want to do. Do you want me to keep going middle school or stop for elementary questions?
Does anyone have any questions on the elementary
Or I can
system,
keep
or do you want to
going.
keep going?
Just keep going, then we'll ask
Keep
all the
going?
questions.
Okay.
Alrighty. All right, so now into middle schools. The third map that you have, again, I just think it's helpful for a reminder on which components we're talking about and where they go, is you have a bigger version of the middle school map. And for considerations for this upcoming school year would either be to, if it would probably make sense that we're considering buffer zones in the middle school if we're considering buffer zones in the elementary. And so we could consider buffer zones for the 26-27 school year. Again, this would be for new enrollments into the buildings. It would not be moving in like families from between the two schools. Or our decision could be made to make no adjustments. However, we could choose, again, to be part of this is a more comprehensive review of middle school for next year, and maybe we want to look at this in a year's time. And so if we go to the next slide, again, we're looking at our buffer zones as our options, our gray zones. The vote this evening would be to utilize buffer zones, and through the recommendation of buffer zones and through implementation of elementary, I would also provide the recommendation for buffer zones for middle school. And then from there, the other option would be, one more slide, would be again to make no decision at this time. So the next slide just walks through what will happen next. So as you know, through our timeline that we've had, We made our recommendation in November, December. All of that included all of these different components of our proposal. A decision will be made this evening, and then we will work in the month of January to finalize our recommendations. That will mean determining what grandfathering is going to happen, what buffer zones we have. We'll be communicating changes. We'll be re-engaging with stakeholder groups as needed, and then we will continue to work with Sanborn to determine the best decision. And then we will be providing by April 1st the notification on any current students changing. The April 1st date was based off of redistricting. So just a reminder here that the notification for school assignment in buffer zones would not potentially be until closer to the start of the school year, which is one of the things we've talked about related to buffer zones. And so this is just a reminder that the Woburn Public Schools website has all of these maps. I've updated all of the things that we've done over the course of this fall into winter, as well as any of our updated component maps, examples of buffer maps, videos to any of our previous school committee meetings, as well as this is where you can also find the story map, which is where you can search your address and see where you are in the components in Woburn. And so I think that's it for slides, and I can open up for questions.
Okay, does anyone have any questions for Ms. Young? Ms. Cormier?
Thank you. So I don't want to move any students. My question is, so we have either redistrict or buffer zones or nothing.
Yeah.
Could we redistrict those gray zones to the schools for new incoming students versus leaving them gray? Can we change them to those components to the new schools for income students, like not variable? Because
Can you give me an example? Like, I think I need like a
So,
a
G10.
textual- Okay, yeah.
has squiggles on it.
Yep.
And that means that anyone new
Yeah.
in G10.
So basically, you're talking about incoming kindergartners that don't have a sibling currently at one of the buildings or a new enrollment.
Right.
Yep, okay.
So when we call it a gray area,
Yep.
one could choose either Shamrock or Goodyear. Is that
No, they will be assigned by Woburn Public Schools to their school assignment.
I'm sorry. But that's what I
Yes.
mean.
Yes,
Administration chooses, not
Yes.
the not yes.
yes.
Instead, could we call G10? Where's it going? Goodyear?
Yeah. Like someone who moves into G10 could decide which building?
No.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Someone who moves into G10 going forward, it just will be Shamrock. Like, can it just be called that going forward? As if you redistricted, except you didn't move any students. You're just calling it,
So move the component to green.
yeah.
Don't grandfather in everybody who currently lives there.
Do so. Do so. But I guess when calling it buffer zones or gray areas, that sounds like it depends. But I guess I'm thinking if having a more permanent sort of structure there would make sense. So just calling it green for new kids without students already in the school. So that area would just go to Shamrock. It wouldn't be a back and forth question.
So the rationale for either all moving or all gray is that in order to really move a component, because of the domino effect of everything, you kind of have to, like, if you move G10, then you have to move H3, right? Like, these two components are
Right.
dependent on each other in order to move one and the other, right? And so that's why please feel free to jump in if I'm not understanding the question correctly. And so the reason for the flexibility of the component is that we may not be able to move into the Shamrock. And so therefore students might just, like, we might have to, it might just stay only the Goodyear and we don't use it at all. It's the buffer zones provide us the flexibility to have more utilization if we can do it. I think that's a piece of the buffer zone, is that it doesn't necessarily completely fix it. It just provides us with some contingency plans as if we get, when it gets tighter, that I don't know if we can do that. Am I understanding?
Yeah, I think what Ms. Cormier is asking is if, moving forward, it became part of the Shamrock.
Right.
And that everybody that is currently at the Goodyear would stay. But
Yes.
moving forward,
And
it
for-
fully shifted.
For all of them on this map, to make it, what would, yeah, so what would have happened, the moves that would have happened if you were to redistrict, except not actually redistricting at this moment.
Right, so I think part of it is it takes away flexibility. You run into issues like siblings, the numbers coming in, it takes away the flexibility, whereas if you move a component now, you know what the numbers are that are presently there.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I hope I answered correctly.
And just to play off this slightly, A4 is currently
Gray.
a gray zone or a buffer zone, and we had to use that over the course of the summer to make sure that the class sizes at the Alta Vista especially didn't get too big, because there's no space for an additional class there. So there's real-time decisions that get made as people move in and enroll.
And I think part of that, with just as an example with A4, is that when we had initially looked at it in terms of districting between the two buildings, we initially had said it will, district this part and this part, and very quickly, as soon as summer enrollment started to come in, we could not follow that pattern. We had to just enroll, and as we've said before, most of our kindergartners into the Linskip, because we only had about a little over one class size at that time, and we're going to have to open a bubble room at the Alta Vista. So by having that flexibility, I was able to, fill the Linskip with 2 full rooms, and then not have to have the bubble room at the Alta Vista.
Right.
But next school year, it could be that the path that we had planned to use within that component will just flow into those 2 buildings. And I think that's what's kind of what's hard for where we are, is that we kind of is that so many of the components depend on each other for our buildings, that it's kind of like we have to all go, or we have to just kind of live in this space of having flexibility.
Thank you.
Oh, I have a question. Why am I raising my hand and calling myself?
Ms. Crowley.
G10 is currently Kennedy, right? So if G10 moves to the Shamrock, it's not,
Joyce?
G10 is currently Joyce? Never mind.
All of South End is.
Thank you. Okay, I was worried about that being the only Kennedy component in the Shamrock, but okay.
My other question is, if we run into trouble in the middle of the year and we had not redistricted and we have gray zones, but we don't move learners around, could that lead to just moving Rise 2? Because we wouldn't have space. And that would be a programmatic decision that the district could make. I mean, that's what I would be worried about, is simply moving Rise 2 if we run into sort of a space capacity issue at the Shamrock.
I would strongly advocate against moving the special education program.
Okay.
Here.
Right, yes, all
I
right.
think with our special education programs, the numbers are always fluid year to year.
Yeah.
And we always have to look and see who's, where the kids are, and there is some degree of flexibility within the legal age spans that are allowed, but I would fiercely advocate against moving special education students mid-year. We would exhaust every possible solution before doing that.
Thank
And
you.
I think that all of those, what we would do is what we've always done, which is that we would make more multi-purpose rooms. It would not necessarily be ideal things but we would go to carts before we started moving anybody in the middle of the year. Yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Young. Thank you, Dr. Ryan, for that assurance. Any other questions before we start deliberations? Mr. Lipsett?
I've heard you go through this in other venues. I guess my question is, what could go wrong with these options? What's I mean, I don't want to say our worst case, but if we're looking for the things that could go
wrong, So again, I can't predict the future. All we can do is what we have, right? And that ultimately, by setting up a yearly process, my hope is that anything that potentially doesn't go great gives us, in 1 year's time, we're going to do this exact same thing again, and we can course correct, as we go, right? I think that anything with movement, right, goes to that we move students, and then if we find that we need to make adjustments next year, we've made the commitment that we will not move anybody twice. And so we might, there might have to be creative avenues from there if a course correction has to happen. However, that there is a little bit to the point of Ms. Cormier's question is that we have like student counts and we can count where students go. And so there's a little bit more predictability. Plus we've had success with how we moved previously. The number of students we're moving isn't huge. So it's I would expect that it would be fine. We're not like moving hundreds of students around, and we're moving into buildings that we're pretty comfortable with how the movement was. However, anytime you move students, we then can't. It kind of goes back to some of the, I think, where we weren't able to alleviate as much pressure at the Goodyear was because of a lot of the grandfathering, right? And so anytime you move, therefore you now have grandfathered students that can't move again. So it just adds a different dynamic. I think that with buffers, a piece of it is that we haven't used it, so we don't know if it will be enough. And one of the things that we've talked about in committee is that this year it's buffer zones. A yearly review might mean next year that a recommendation to move components comes back to the table. Any of these zones in which that are planned to redistrict for our end map are always going to be a part of a conversation on whether they have to move. And so buffer zones, it's really a matter of it. We've had a lot of success. It should help us. But again, if we have a big enrollment in a certain area where there isn't enough for us to move it around, that's right where I think about. If you do nothing, it's really just a matter of next year that if nothing happens, as we've said, I don't think any of us would recommend moving anyone mid-year, that if we get to space concerns, we'll go back to where we were, which is arts on carts and, in classrooms in, not ideal locations. But at the end of the day, like, we flexibly used our space before, and so really what we're talking about is just trying to do better than we have in the past, which is end up in the space of just overcrowded buildings where we feel this like immediate pressure. Really, we've done a nice job of last year alleviating a lot of the pressure. I think we're in a good space across some of our buildings, and I think that really all we're trying to do is try to give ourselves some options in the future.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds from your rundown there, and thank you for that, that buffer areas, the worst case for those seems a lot less disruptive than the worst case in other scenarios. I think it's important to point out, we had a public commenter talk about buffer areas and then sort of locking that in. It sounds from what you're saying like that's not a great solution in terms of buffer areas, because we might have to revisit year after year that if we turn one of these components into a buffer area, it's entirely possible that the next year our numbers are going to force that component into a full redistrict regardless.
I mean, I think ultimately we have to take the maps year by year. Yep. And I think we can only do with what we have and the best information that's in front of us. I think that ideal is that the buffer zones work and that they alleviate the pressure until we have a new building and can do the full redistrict. I think that the point of doing a year to year is to mitigate where we were last year, which is that every single year we're going to have to evaluate the status of where we are and evaluate using the stakeholders that we have. I think about that ultimately our end map 6 is what our components will be, and that therefore is the guide.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Mr. Lipset. Any other questions? Vice Chair Chisholm.
I have some concerns over that I don't like. I know people have said that it's okay with new people coming in, going to a different school. If I bought a house and realized that I wasn't going to the school where the kid next door was going to go, or that they would stay together, that would make me a little bit crazier than I am. But I think people in the buffer zone will live in limbo forever, because whoever moves in could be going to a different school again. And so I do get a little nervous with that. And I also am concerned because the finance side of me is, busing for these kids? I mean, are we going to send, if we move 4 kids, are we going to send a big yellow bus for 4 kids to drive them from one place to another? So it's a lot of things to look at. I would support doing it, but I'll be very much looking forward to policy on how we implement it. So.
Thank you, Vice Chair Chisholm. Any further questions? Mr. Mulrennan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. If I could, it's kind of along the same line, Mrs. Chisholm. And again, to Ms. Ryan's point, it's what we have tonight before us for numbers and situations. And, as you're saying, Ms. Chisholm, I'm looking at the map here, and I know, for instance, over at the Goodyear, they're building some new complexes along the highway over there. And again, tonight, we don't know how many people are going to move in there. And, according to Ms. Ryan, you adjust accordingly. So it's what we have before us tonight.
Dr. Ryan.
Dr. Ryan and Ms. Young as well. It's what we have tonight before us. And I think, working with what we have before us to kind of work over these humps, like I say, do nothing, but just going to put us back into the hot water again. So I think what are we using again? Buffer or gray? What are we using again? Buffer zone area is to Mr. Lips's point, less damaging, I guess, if it's damaging at all. So those are kind of like my thoughts, that what we have before us tonight could change come January, February of next year. We don't know those. But I think tonight's, the numbers are there, and the factors, will work themselves out. And to Ms. Chisholm's point again, we'll just have to wait and see. Do we need 1 bus, 2 buses? And that's down the road. But I think there's been so much work put into this, so much discussion, that it's time to move on it and hope for the best, but work through the issues. So thank you for that, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Mulrennan. Anyone else? Dr. Crowley.
Yeah, just as a follow-up to what Mr. Mulrennan and what Ms. Young said, I think we've learned quite a bit over the past few years, and I think it's important to note that. And the fact that we've adopted this phased approach makes really good sense. And the idea that I go back to is the Avalon at the Woburn Mall. When that came online and we were told that there was going to be maybe 5 or 10 students coming from the Avalon, and it turned into dozens of students. And so the flexibility to assign accordingly and learn from what our past, I think, is an important process. I think we've met for years with the building inspector, and again, just to remind people, so Tom Quinn, and he gives us updates about when new developments are going to come online. Nobody can predict the future, we've said that, but I feel like a lot of the apartment units that are coming online are 2- and 3-bedroom apartments, and I think will yield students. I just don't think it's going to be single people commuting to Boston the way sometimes it's been told. And so any flexibility that we can have to make sure our schools are balanced is important. And going back to Ms. Chisholm, last year, I believe, commented the last time the redistricting happened was when you're in the 1980s,
Yep.
right? And so, we have to have a mechanism to adapt in real time, because the city is changing in real time, and our kids need us to be flexible. So, again, trying to incorporate a lot of the lessons learned along the way really is important, and I think puts us in a good position tonight. So, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Mulrennan.
Can I just echo what Dr. Collins was stating here? The last time we did this, it was pushed up, and as someone said tonight, well, when do we know? We don't know yet. What's going to happen when? We didn't know. And I think, again, you're going to put a feather in someone's cap. Here we are with January. The decisions are lined up here on the timeline tonight. April, June, implementation plan. Families notified by April 1. Hopefully we can stand by that, and we're more ahead of the game than we were in the past that we did this. So I think, again, kudos to the people that put together this timeline. Hopefully it'll work out and not disrupt the families as much as it did the first time. So it's a great effort here to get the components in, the decisions done, and the timeline's complete. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mulrennan. Ms.
Chair,
Cormier.
I would like to make a motion that we use gray or buffer zones for the 26-27 school year as outlined by Ms. Young.
Second on the motion?
I'm going to speak on it first, actually, if you mind.
make that specific to elementary schools.
Elementary.
For the elementary schools.
I'm going to say
You go right ahead. Okay.
Madam Chair.
I'll recognize Ms. Crowley.
I just want to state my position prior to the vote that I believe that we should be redistricting learners at this point. I'm very concerned about the overcapacity at the Goodyear. It is impacting learning, and it is impacting capacity at the Goodyear. And since we did redistrict last year, and we still have overcapacity issues at the Goodyear, that means our lines are not good. And so I think for good governance and for creating a good learning environment for all of our learners and our educators, such as the physical therapist that has to search for space every day to deliver services to kids and related service provider, I believe that we should be redistricting learners. I also know that the multilingual language instructor has to share a room with 2 other instructors at the same time while delivering English instruction. So I think that this is a serious matter, and I think the best thing that we should do is redistrict learners. However, I am seeing, because I have eyeballs and ears, I am seeing where the vote is going, but I just wanted to state my position for the record.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so we have a second on a motion. Anyone on the motion? Mr. Lipset.
I just think at this point it's worthwhile to just talk a little bit about how we got here. When we started this process, especially last year when we went through this process, part of the hope was that we were going to be able to add space through the addition of modular classrooms that would allow us to provide a home for our preschool program while opening up additional classrooms. That did not have the support of the mayor or the city council, which I think is unfortunate. I think that is a short-sighted decision, but that's what put us where we are. And so right now, I think what we saw in our redistricting last year is when we don't have the additional space to do this the way that we should be doing it, we have to make very careful, very specific decisions. It's it's shuffling things around to find the space in various buildings and various rooms without sort of having that large availability. So I think flexibility is the word of the day here. That is what we need to build in, and I think it's what we did build in last year, and I think that's what we need to continue to go with. So I'll be supporting the buffer areas. That gives us, in my view, the most flexibility now and the most flexibility going forward.
Anyone else have any deliberation on this motion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
No? That motion passes. Do we want a roll call?
Yes.
Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Austin,
Yes.
Ms. Chisholm,
Yes.
Ms. Cormier,
In favor.
Mr. Lipset,
Yes.
Mr. Morenin,
In favor?
Ms. Wetzel, Ms. Crowley.
No. That motion passes 5-1. Okay, so we will now be instituting buffer zones. If we want to move on to the middle school?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that we determine, we use gray zones for the 26-27 school year for the middle schools.
Second on the motion?
Any deliberation on that motion?
I do.
Vice Chair Chisholm?
When we had the principals from both middle schools in, they both said that they weren't concerned with overcrowding. They were more concerned with the facility itself, but that neither one of them thought that it would be necessary for us to do anything at this time. So that's why I would vote to not upset people that are thinking their kids are going to go to one middle school and they may have to go to someplace else. Because if the people in the building are telling us it's okay, then I think we should be listening to them. My thoughts.
Anyone else on the motion? Mr. Lipset?
I'm tempted to agree with Ms. Chisholm here. It feels
Yay.
like no, right?
It's the last meeting ever. Sorry.
And I hear what Ms. Young said in the presentation that one of the options before us is to put a pin in this. There is no immediate need. I understand. We heard from Ms. Kuberry through proxy that we have and we do, we have an imbalance at our middle schools. At the same time, it's not causing the kind of disruptions that we saw in our elementary schools. We do have the luxury of time on this. I think it behooves us to give ourselves a little bit of extra time and push this forward. I think instituting gray areas would not be, or I'm sorry, buffer areas would not be the worst thing in the world here either. But I think if I had my preference, it seems like a reasonable decision to stay put and revisit next year.
Anyone else on the motion? All those in favor, say aye. Aye.
No.
Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Austin,
Yes.
Ms. Chisholm.
No.
Wait, sorry, can we clarify
Clarify what we're voting.
what we're voting
We're just to
on?
leave it.
To institute
The vote is for
gray
buffer
areas.
areas.
Buffer areas.
Buffer areas.
Okay.
But I just wanted to kind of
Yeah.
let it go
Sorry.
for you.
I just want
Yeah.
to,
And
so,
I vote institutes buffer areas.
Thank you.
okay. I'll do it again.
Okay, great, thank you.
Mr. Austin,
Yes.
Ms. Chisholm,
No.
Ms. Cormier,
Yes.
Mr. Lipset,
No.
Mr. Morenin,
No.
Ms. Crowley.
Yes.
And Jess, you'd be a no, so we're okay.
Are we 3-3?
3-3.
I am willing to change my vote to a no, to not have to do.
We can vote again.
I think we would have to do a revote.
Let's do it.
Yeah. So we'll make another motion. We'll just keep voting until we get,
I'll make a motion that we don't do
Pat gets
anything
away.
at the middle schools.
okay, I have a motion to do nothing.
I second that motion.
And I mean that respectfully, like literally, that's one of the options.
To revisit next year.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Right.
Revisit
What it
again.
says here, yeah.
2026?
And do I have a second on the motion?
I second that already.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
That motion passes.
Did you roll call? that
Roll
again?
call vote?
Yeah, we'd probably.
Mr.
Wait,
Austin.
Sorry, just to clarify, now and I means to do nothing.
Right now.
Yes.
Thank
I
you.
means we hold off, we revisit next
revisit
year,
it in a
we do
year.
not
For
institute any
26,
buffer
27.
areas.
Thank you.
Okay, go ahead.
Mr. Austin,
No.
Ms. Chisholm,
Yes.
Ms. Cormier,
Yes.
Mr. Lipset,
Yes.
Mr. Morenin,
Yes.
Ms. Crowley.
No. That motion passes 4-2. So we will not be doing anything with regards to the middle school next year. We'll
I
be
would
on a
say it
wait
more
and
as
see.
we are going to revisit middle school.
Yeah.
Of course.
Right.
Thank you.
And again, my
This would be an
use of
active-
the word "do nothing" only means clarity for the motion purpose.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to subcommittee reports. Vice, is that right? Vice Chair Chisholm.
We're meeting tomorrow. You have to get Andrew one more time.
Okay. Next subcommittee.
Community relations.
Thank you. Community Relations, Mr. Austin.
That's coming. Oh, that's, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Yes.
Came out of personnel.
Yeah.
Vice Chair Chisholm, did you have anything with regards to personnel?
Yes, we did. We have a request for an assistant principal at the Alta Vista School.
Okay.
That came out with a 3-0 positive to endorse that. So we just need the vote of the full committee to add that position to the Alta Vista School.
I'll make a motion that we add the position of assistant principal to the Alta Vista Elementary School.
Second.
Any deliberation on that motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
Seeing none, that motion passes. Moving on to Community Relations, Mr. Austin.
Yes, we actually met today at 5 o'clock in this room. Those that were present was Mr. Morenin, Ms. Cormier, Dr. Crowley, and myself. And we had a guest, which was Clearview Health and Wellness Group. They are a medication management and outpatient therapy, and they maintain a no wait list. So the idea was I decided to bring them in to offer additional support for those in our schools that may need mental health services. They provide services for those that are 6 years old and above. They're also multilingual. They serve diverse community, therapists fluent in English, Spanish, Portuguese, Hindi, and Nepali. They offer hybrid services, which you can meet in person. They have an office in Medford, and they're also willing to have Zoom or online therapy sessions as well. They do offer a wide insurance panel, including most notable insurance as well as Mass Health, and the next steps to that is for me, actually, which I did today, was to connect Dr. Crowley to the young lady that came in today. Additional, we actually did a quick update as far as Sports Zone 101. The word from Dr. Crowley was that those gentlemen was able to connect with the principals of both middle schools, and I guess the ball is in Sports Zone 101 to come up with like the game plan. They got a chance to see the school. They actually got a chance to see the site here, I think, as well as the other school as well. Yes. We did an update. We did a community relations update as far as the survey goes. I mentioned to the committee that, considering time, the plan is to produce something. I did get some feedback from Rachel Kuberry as far as the idea of what transparency. She made a good point in reference to what is communication, defining it, what is transparency. So the whole point of that survey is to get a pulse on what the school committee is not being transparent or communicating about. And so best practice would be to ask those that are saying that we're not doing so. And so what I plan to do is maybe, I can't say I will, put out a survey and let the community speak, or let the future people take over that. And we adjourned, I wrote it down somewhere, it was like 5:40.
Thank you, Mr. Austin.
Welcome.
Next subcommittee, curriculum.
We have not met.
Next one.
Policy has not met.
Policy, thank you. Student service and achievement, Ms. Mulrennan.
What about the other
Policy.
Thank you. Yes. We have 3 policies that have been taken off the table, and they're up for a vote tonight, as this is the 3rd meeting from when they were first heard. We are on the 3rd reading. The policies are in front of you.
Madam Chair, can I just want to clarify, these did not come through the policy subcommittee?
Right.
I know they're listed
Yes.
here, but just for clarification. Also, we had public comment that mentioned the protected classes that are listed in AC non-discrimination. Those are currently in our AC version that came from Michael Joyce, our lawyer, in 2020, which at that time replaced these other ACR we didn't adopt at his recommendation. ACA, ACAB were removed because this AC that we currently have is encompasses all of those things. Besides already being legally protected, that current language does indicate that we will not be changing the protections that are currently in place. Thank you to policy AC.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Cormier. Appreciate that clarification. So let's take them one by one. The first policy up for adoption and vote, in no particular order, is AC-R, non-discrimination policy, including harassment and retaliation. Do I have any action on that?
Vote not to accept that. If we had the legal advice to say not to do that, we already have the coverage, we don't need it. So I think it just
Vote to decline?
Do I have a motion to,
we can just keep it on the table.
We can make a motion to decline to adopt AC-R.
Second.
I have a motion to decline to adopt AC-R. Do I have a deliberation on that motion?
Madam Chair, if I may.
Of course. Mr. Mulrennan?
I guess the only deliberation would be that we had clarification from our legal team saying that what we have presently is okay, is acceptable,
appropriate,
whatever the wording may be. And just for the public at home, anybody that's watching, I know it's probably difficult, Ms. Cormier, to go through the differences, but do you see any big differences in there? Why we may hold this off, or we may decline this particular one and just keep what we have?
I just, for all of them, I don't see why we would add back something that we removed at the advice of legal. Adding them back, then I feel like would sort of muddy things, and making something like a non-discrimination and harassment policy as clear as possible, as simple as possible, so it can be implemented simply, is the better practice.
Okay, thank you for that clarification.
Mr. Austin?
Thank you, Madam Chair. This policy is not a policy that is being re-added. From my understanding, this policy is a policy that MASC is implemented in 2022 for addition to AC non-discrimination. This policy is a policy that gives more emphasis on what discrimination, harassment, and it adds of retaliation. If you look within the policy, it gives a definition of both these terms, which we do not currently have a definition. Also, this policy is added through MASC, which is a trusted source that we currently pay a service for and we use. Yes, I have noticed that they will say to consult your legal team and so forth, but in the past, from my understanding, we have accepted many policies that come before us from MASC, whether it be the language changing of gender or anything of that nature. So we have trusted these services from MASC, and these policies are not from my policy coach. These policies are from our trusted source of MASC. So it's not something that was taken out. This is something that's newly created through MASC based off of Attorney General, and also state and federal regulations.
Thank you, Mr. Austin.
Madam Chair?
Ms. Cormier?
Yes, this was brought to Mr. Joyce when it was posted to MASC, and he said that we do not need it. Also, AC-R, the R being regulation, is just outlining basically the law, which we don't need to do because it is the law. We don't also need to add definitions of words. I don't think that adds anything to the protections. It's just defining things, and the legal definition of these things don't need to be in our policy. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cormier. Mr. Lissett?
I mean, I guess my question is, I mean, it's sort of along the lines of what Ms. Cormier said here, is what does this add? And, you know, I hear Mr. Austin in terms of procedures and definitions, that is covered by Mass state law. But I guess what my question to administration is, you know, our current AC policy essentially sets this out as the superintendent's role to sort of adopt procedures and you know, for grievances, for reports of discrimination and harassment. Does our, you know, when we talk about school committee policy versus district protocol, is what's in this version of ACR here already covered in not only Mass state law, but in things like employee handbooks, student handbooks, protocol that we have outside of school committee policy?
Yeah, so all the handbooks get vetted through Mr. Joyce's office and align with the current AC policy. And all of the protocols also align with the AC policy. Mr. Joyce does come in the summer and reviews all of these things with the whole leadership team so that we are following all of the potential paths appropriately, whether it's a bullying investigation, a civil rights investigation, a Title IX investigation. So, yeah, so we...
Yeah, I mean, because I think, you know, what I do want to make sure that our policy and our procedure protects students and staff as strongly as it possibly can. I don't want to do anything that is redundant or that is going to work at cross purposes with what we already have or with the law, and I do see a potential for that here. So, I mean, if we, you know, if this is simply sort of reciting back what state law is and what we already do with our own protocol through policy AC, I don't like using the term that we're going to vote to reject, but I think, you know, acknowledging that this is reflective of what we already do and is therefore not really necessary within our policy, it makes sense to me. So I think I'll leave it at that one.
Mr. Austin?
Thank you. I'll further say, when we think about our position as school committee members, ultimately our position should be to protect our students. Asking our lawyer what they think as far as the protection of our students go, to me, I feel is doing a disservice to our students. If we're looking at them first and foremost. We had a student come before us speaking about an issue at the high school. And then to add additional protection, this is not going to cause a challenge, I don't feel. This is going to increase. The current policy that we have does not speak on the terms that's in this new policy. This is a serious situation that we're all dealing with, and it's better to be proactive rather than reactive. Do something now. We've already had issues happen. Let's not wait until more issues to come and take place. Be proactive. Let's do something now. This is it. This is where we live. As Andrew would say, our purview is within the policy. So we want to be mindful that, are we looking at the position from a parent standpoint or at a legal business standpoint? If I'm a parent and it's either add more protection for my child or a legal standpoint of we don't want to have a redundancy, whenever you go anywhere, you'll see no speeding. You'll see the speeding limit continuously posted. Why? It's redundant. Why not just post it one? We all should know, but it's a reminder. It's a reminder of what we should do. So I would pose a question is, what's the challenge of adding additional policy to protect our students? Is it going to cause harm or is it going to help?
Any further deliberation on the motion? All those in favor of declining the policy, say aye.
Aye.
No.
No.
So that motion passes 4-2. Moving on to AC, non-discrimination policy, including harassment and retaliation.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion that we decline to adopt AC as written here and maintain our current AC for the reasons previously discussed.
Second.
I have just a query. Had we reviewed this since post-January 2025?
I know that when Mr. Austin brought up his own...
We got legal advice.
We did talk to Mr. Joyce, and he continued to entrust us to the AC. So.
Motion, do I have a second?
I did, second.
Okay. Any discussion on the motion to decline adopting AC non-discrimination policy, including harassment or retaliation?
Yes. This
Austin.
policy is an update of our current policy. It's not like I'm asking for a policy to be included or adopted from, again, my policy code. This is an updated version of what we currently have. We have an outdated version of our policy. And I feel like saying what Mr. Lipset said, I'm disappointed this year. I am a little disappointed. We've been going back and forth with this, and it's just challenging that to see including the harassment policy and retaliation for our students is seen as a problem to move forward. It's given additional language. It even speaks about the commitment to the community is to affirm the following. Language that is not currently in our policy.
Any further deliberation on the motion? Mr. Mulrennan?
I think, if I may, to Mr. Austin's point, if it's an updated version of our current policy, and it looks as though Mr. Joyce has indicated that the updating is not necessary either, Ms. Cormier, or the current policy still stands, and has he looked at the updated version that Mr. Austin is referring to?
I can't speak to what Mr. Joyce has done.
Well, I'm just trying to figure out where...
Dr. Crowley would.
The updates
It's been going back and forth.
Yes, so I'm checking my dates, actually. This was in October, so I think the question was from January?
Yes.
So I think, just to be clear about...
MASC updated theirs in 2022, but any changes to this, although it looks different than ours because ours is more robust, I don't know what changes are there, but Mr. Joyce has not suggested that we, at any time, when he reviewed in October, and then I think he reviewed again I think you reviewed
We've done it
twice.
twice.
Yeah.
It wasn't this policy that he took a look at. This policy, which if you guys remember, I asked to not move forward with the policy that was recreated by my policy coach. Instead, I took this policy straight from MASC because I felt like it had backing from someone that we trust, and it's an updated version of what we already have. And my understanding is that that's something that we do consistently, is update based off of MASC suggestions. So this is a suggested update from MASC. And policy has done many times make updates to what MASC has suggested. And this is not a policy that was removed. It wasn't a policy that I created or policy code. This is a suggested policy from MASC compared to, so we have an outdated version of this policy.
Madam Chair, I still have the floor, I believe. I don't know what makes this outdated. I know that although they have changed their reference policy, that doesn't mean that our policy is not appropriate. And again, Mr. Joyce did review AC, and I expect he would review it in light of any MASC changes, as that is available to anyone who looks at their website. Secondly, when we do update policies based on the MASC updates, we review them, and if necessary, we do refer to legal. A lot of times, it's minor changes that have taken place, so it's not really been needed as much, but we do have correspondence to legal when needed, and to other stakeholders if we needed to do that. So I maintain my stance on the motion.
Well, let's vote on the table.
Any further deliberation? All those in favor of declining to adopt AC non-discrimination policy, including harassment and retaliation, say aye.
Aye.
That motion passes. Moving on to ACA, non-discrimination on the basis of sex.
I'd like to
Madam
make a
Chair, I will
motion to
make,
accept this policy.
I was talking, but all right.
There's a motion on the floor to accept this policy. Do I have a second?
I'll second for the purpose of discussion.
Okay. Any deliberation on the adoption of ACA non-discrimination on the basis of sex?
I would-
Ms. Cormier.
This was removed in, I believe, September of 2020, when our AC was updated by Mr. Joyce. So these protections are already discussed and the procedure in AC. Thank you.
Any further deliberation on the adoption of ACA non-discrimination on the basis of sex? Mr. Lipset.
I'll just note, I think this one is the most clearly covered by existing AC. I don't see anything in proposed ACA that makes a substantive difference to what we currently have adopted in AC. So I'll be voting to not to move forward with this policy.
Any further deliberation on this motion?
Yes. This policy states that the committee will continue to ensure fair and equitable education and employment opportunities without regard to sex, sexual orientation, or gender identity to all its students and employees. I don't know if this is specifically worded in our current AC policy. This is something that is a dire need for our students, our staff. I've heard stories that staff have left because they didn't feel protected. This is not adding a disservice to what we already have. This is, again, added policy of protection for our students, our staff.
Madam Chair, may I?
Yes.
I just want to read from our current AC policy, where it states the Woburn Public Schools does not tolerate discrimination against students, parents, employees, or the general public on the basis of race, color, religion, national origin, sex, gender, sexual orientation, gender identity, pregnancy or pregnancy status, age, genetic information, ethnic background, ancestry, disability, or any category protected by state or federal law. It is also committed to maintaining a school environment free of harassment based on the above protected classes. And race does include traits historically associated with race, including but not limited to hair texture, hair type, hair length, and protective hairstyles. That was added in 2024 at the suggestion of Mr. Joyce. The asterisk discussing what race meant, I should say.
Thank you, Ms. Cormier.
Yeah.
Is there a motion on the table?
There's a motion.
There was a motion to adopt. It was
Motion to
seconded.
adopt ACA, non-discrimination based on sex. Any further deliberation on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any nays?
Nay.
That motion fails 4-2. Moving on to ACAB, sexual harassment.
I would like to make a motion to adopt ACAB sexual harassment policy.
Any discussion on that motion?
I'll second the motion.
You have the seconding of the motion. Any discussion on adopting ACAB sexual harassment?
Yes. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Ms. Lipset.
No, you go.
This policy was really, to me, at my heart when a young person came before us to speak about the issues that they're hearing at the school, and then to be followed up with a message from a grandparent on news and revolving harassment within the schools. This policy speaks about unwelcome sexual advances, whether they involve physical touching or not, sexual explicit jokes, written or oral references, sexual conduct, continuing. It talks about unwelcoming, leering, whistling, brushing against the body, sexual gestures, and so forth. I've said it multiple times, and I'll say it again. This is added protection for our students, our staff. And I hope you all can see the necessity in this policy.
Thank you, Mr. Austin. Mr. Lipset.
Of the proposed policies, this is the one that, to me, genuinely does add to what we currently have in AC. We don't really have, I think, a particularly strong protection on sexual harassment in this policy. I think it is partially included in terms of what the superintendent shall adopt and publish one or more grievance procedures for addressing reports of discrimination, harassment, and retaliation. We don't really have an explicit discussion of sexual harassment in current policy. I think this does a good job of outlining that. It is vetted through MASC as well as matching both federal and state law. I think this would be a pretty material addition to policy, so I'll be voting in favor.
Any further discussion, Mr. Mulrennan?
Yes, Madam Chair, if I could, that's also for the people at home that didn't have the copy of this. It's also a note at the bottom of this policy whereby a summary of the attached policy as adopted must be sent to parents/guardians, students, employees, unions, prospective employees of the school district, including the Title IX coordinators, investigators, and decision makers. The above referenced employees must attend training sessions on the implementation of this policy. So again, kind of to both the points already given, this is a little, I guess, a little stronger, a little meatier, whereby it's getting to more people involved and a lot more of our stakeholders. So similar to Mr. Lipset, I'll be voting in favor of maintaining this sexual harassment policy. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Any further deliberation on the motion, Ms. Cormier?
I'm curious if the superintendent or assistant superintendents want to weigh in on this, especially related to the procedure, knowing that we do have a Title IX sexual harassment grievance procedure that is 12 pages long on the website in case of an issue. So I just wanted to make sure, again, that it's not sort of clashing with or telling you to do two different things. Maybe Ms. Ryan as the coordinator.
Yeah, so Dr. Ryan is our Title
Ryan.
6 and 9 coordinator, so.
Yeah, so my concern with this, and I have not spoken directly to Attorney Joyce about this, but I would be very concerned about having conflicting policies. I think that the Title IX grievance procedures are quite robust, and I would be very cautious with adopting something that he has not recommended for that reason. I worry that we would do the opposite of what we're intending and in fact weaken something.
So, Madam Chair, I mean,
I think that maybe we could, if someone has a laptop, they could look to see what the grievance procedures are.
it's 12 pages long.
Yeah.
Sorry, you mean as far as like comparing them?
Yeah, I mean, I want everyone at the table to know that it exists on the website, and it's more of a grievance protocol than a policy, which I think is important to know.
Under Family Resources, Forms and Policies, under the heading of Civil Rights, we have Title IX Training Presentation, Title IX Sexual Harassment Grievance Policy, Civil Rights Grievance Procedure, and the Child Nutrition Program Grievance Procedure. So, I mean, Madam
Mr.
Chair-
Lipson?
I mean, I realize that neither Mr. Oster nor I would be around to do so, but it feels like perhaps, given the potential for that conflict, this maybe should be something we table while we look at whether or not there is a conflict there that could weaken the protection that we're seeking to strengthen.
Is that a
So,
motion?
I guess
a motion on the
you
table.
can't really make a motion because we're currently
One's on the table.
on
That's
a
a
motion.
Yeah.
So, given that, I regretfully, I think I'll have to change my commitment to this so that we can take another look at it, given what our staff and what Dr. Ryan, who handles Title IX investigations, says about potential conflicts here.
Dr.
Ryan?
If the committee does decide to table this, I would be happy to have an in-depth conversation with Attorney Joyce and then report back.
Thank you, Dr. Ryan.
And as far as, sorry,
Of course.
as far as timeline goes, the updated Title IX that's posted is from August of '24. So,
The complexity with the Title IX is that the federal laws
have shifted.
really
right.
gone back and forth, so we've been updating them.
Yeah.
So the grievance procedure that I see is effective August 14th, 2020. So we had someone revert us back to the appropriate regs, it looks like.
Yes, it is current, though. Let me open what's on the
Yeah.
website.
I think that,
So this was updated on the website 9/18/2025.
There you go.
It's the date of that.
So that would indicate that it changed.
Yes,
Yeah.
it
At that
did
time.
change, and it was
Was
in
updated.
September, actually. Yes.
okay, so, any further deliberation on the motion to approve ACAB sexual harassment? All those in favor of adoption?
I will speak, based off of what was just stated, I do like the idea of making sure that this policy does not conflict with other policies. I think that's wise.
Thank you, Mr. Austin.
And so,
Would you like to withdraw your motion?
withdrawing it on the basis of,
Make a motion to table for further discussion.
yes, I'd like to withdraw my motion. Then I would like to make a motion to table this policy, further discussion, conversation with our lawyers.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor of tabling this motion for further discussion, say aye.
Aye.
That motion passes. Okay, and just for the public's reference, this policy is so prominent that it's on our website and it's the grievance procedures. So it veers in the lane of procedure. So it's not exactly a pure school committee policy. So if anyone is interested in looking at it and see how thick it is, they can visit our website where they'll find it. And that will clarify some of the committee's discussion around that. Okay. I think that concludes the policies. And moving on to resources and capital planning.
Ms. Wetzel asked if I would read the notes.
Oh, okay.
Briefly. All right, we met on December 9th at 5:45 p.m. in the conference room here at the Joyce Middle School. Present were Mr. Austin, myself, Dr. Crowley, Ms. Young, and Chair of the subcommittee, Jessie Wetzel. As always, her subcommittee minutes feature a link to redistricting presentation, the website, and then Director Burnham's presentation, which I will touch on. So there was public comment from Blake Goodwin, Lindsay Meehan, and Rachel Kuberry. The first topic was an update from Director Burnham regarding energy efficiency as it pertains to the North Woburn /ECP SOI, colloquially known as the Alta Vista project. We discussed the importance of constructing an energy-efficient building and the role of energy use intensity, or EUI, in evaluating building performance. And it was noted that the failure to design such a building could lead to future budget shortfalls, as higher energy consumption would increase operating costs. Similar challenges are already being observed in existing facilities. The committee emphasized the importance of clearly articulating district needs early in the design process so that the buildings are designed to meet operational and financial realities. And it was stated that alternative design approaches could be more cost-effective over the life of the building, particularly when energy efficiency is prioritized from the outset. Mr. Burnham discussed the availability of numerous tools and strategies to improve energy efficiency. Massachusetts requires large building energy reporting, reinforcing the need to prioritize efficiency and transparency in energy use. And there are significant rebates through MassSave and other incentives that we would be eligible for potentially, as well as financial assistance for design support and technical assistance. Next step, the consensus that this topic should be brought forward to the full school committee for discussion, a recommendation to schedule a presentation for the full school committee by Eversource to provide an overview of energy efficiency opportunities, incentives, and requirements. And a vote was taken, and all three members supported advancing this item to the full school committee agenda. The next topic was redistricting questions from online response form. I think we have talked plenty about redistricting, but we discussed buffer zones, attendance boundaries. It's the same presentation that Ms. Young has gone over. The next topic was draft map 3 with buffer zones. And again, discussed there are options for the vote. Middle schools were also discussed. It was noted that the Kennedy Middle School has a higher population of multilingual learners than the Joyce, and demographic data was discussed. Community engagement, the then upcoming community forum conducted a Q&A format, which has now happened, and a post-process survey will be distributed to families to gather feedback on the redistricting process, and a redistricting update was scheduled to go out. Timeline review, we've seen the timeline. Next steps, all three main options, vote on the 17th, being today. And continued future plan, establish a recurring annual redistricting process, a structured system with consistent timelines and steps for review and adjustments each year. And our next meeting will be in January 2026, and we adjourned at 6:28 p.m.
Thank you, Ms. Wetzel.
Welcome, Madam Chair.
Student Service and Achievement, Mr. Mulrennan.
Yeah, if I could, Madam Chair, yes, the Student Service and Achievement met on December 9th. Present were myself, Mr. Lipset, Ms. Wetzel, and Dr. Ryan, and from the public was Denise Friedman. You all should have got a printed out handout from Ms. McLeod. Thank you for that, Jean, regarding the minutes and what we talked about. I think a couple of points that Ms. Ryan brought up was the assessment center is very busy, and that the group has had a successful first community trip of the year for the MS Middle School RISE program, focusing on safety awareness, behavior in the community, social skills, pre-vocational skills, purchasing, ordering, locating items, and such like that. So to see our students out in the community is fantastic. Professional development, we heard from the last meeting, some things that are going on professional development-wise. We've got speakers coming in, consultants coming into the SOAR program, the RISE program. I believe we have a date for someone, Dr. Ryan. I didn't have the date yet. You want to confirm with Sarah Ward is January 21st. And that's on the agenda. That's already been set up. I just, the DESI folks visited the Alta Vista School. The holiday enrichment activities are going on this week and next all over. Joyce Java, the coffee program here at the Joyce Thanksgiving feast happened in all of our buildings. Let's see. Anything special, Dr. Ryan? I'm forgetting. I kind of printed up some of it.
I would emphasize if Sarah Ward, we're bringing her back. It's been a few years since she was here. It's January 21st. It will be at Woburn Memorial High School in the evening. I believe it's set for 6 p.m., but it's in the evening, and she's a phenomenal speaker, and she is someone that many of us could benefit from. She focuses on executive functioning skills, and she's really worth coming out to hear. So I would welcome everyone. There is no cost to it, and I think it will be a great night, and it's a nice partnership with the CPAC where we have this speaker coming.
All right, thank you for that, Dr. Ryan. Again, speaking of CPAC, I know they had a coffee hour kind of a thing today down at the Studio Cafe for people to visit and chat it up with those folks as well. They're doing a great job. A couple of consultants here. We have special ed nurses and coaches coming in. Paras is always in need for more paras in our buildings. A low turnover at this time, but they're always welcome. We have openings for 2 psychologists. Dr. Ryan, if you want to put that post out there now for...
Yep, we are still searching for 2 clinical psychs for both our middle school and our high school. They're tricky positions to fill, but we are continuing to look.
And if someone with such skills had the desire to do that, where would they look perhaps?
They could reach out to anyone in the Student Services Department, and we would swoop in quickly to welcome them.
Take them up. And we had 11 students referred to out of district, and several out of district students referred to for more restrictive settings. I think that's about all for my minutes, and we adjourned about 5:30-ish, didn't we? 5:40?
About that, may I add one
Sure.
more thing? With the out-of-district students, we do have several that are waiting. We are finding that it is very difficult for our students to be placed. The out-of-district schools are on very long wait lists. I think this is the longest wait list I've seen since the pandemic, but many, many months, students that are waiting at this point. So we have an out-of-district coordinator that is working very hard, and we are doing everything we can to support the students. And I think the assessment center has been integral in helping us to bridge gaps.
Thank you for that, Dr. Ryan. A couple of things I may have forgotten.
Ms. Cormier, did you have a question? Just a quick question. Yeah, so when that does happen, when a student is waiting, does it vary where they go, or where do they go? Do they stay in the assessment center? Are they placed?
So we look at every student individually. We work for individualized solutions, and it really does vary. Some students in the assessment center return to their settings. Other students do need more specialized programming. But sometimes we work with contractual services to try to support us. And Chris Murphy is our coordinator of programs, and he is really someone that works with our more complex students in helping to problem solve what's in the best interest of the student while we are seeking a different placement.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ryan and Ms. Cormier. Okay, moving on to correspondence. Mr. Lipset.
I don't know if you have correspondence first. I'll do my own correspondence.
Oh, okay. So we had several emails that could be backed up before the last meeting, but Brooke Dearborn emailed us about support of buffer zones, as did Blake Goodwin. Dr. Elizabeth Conley wants the school committee to consider creating a historical dedication to Brendan Doherty. Elizabeth Harrison contacted us regarding buffer zones. Danielle Bergeron and Sean McSweeney contacted us about buffer zones. Janet Keefe I contacted us. Lindsay Meehan contacted us about buffer zones. Shannon Brown contacted us about the parking at the Reeves. And coordinating with the school department to create more public information regarding obtaining handicap, not my word, the legal word, of handicap placards. And Ms. Wetzel and I coordinated to refer Ms. Shannon Brown to CPAC for more discussion with them. And then Sarah Bergman McCool contacted us regarding redistricting in general. And I believe that covers all of the correspondence. Does anyone else have any correspondence, Ms. Cormier?
Just a question based on the correspondence. So for Dr. Connolly's
Yes.
request, what happens now?
Oh, okay. I didn't have, I think I responded that we would take this up in January upon the shuffling and the reassignment of subcommittees. And I believe that the next step to consider something like that, which the school committee tends to do, is for resources to take that up and make a recommendation and really tease out that issue. So if I didn't write back to Dr. Conley, I meant to.
You did, actually.
I did? Thank you. And I meant to say that we will be putting that as a priority for resources in January. Any more questions on that?
No.
Okay, great. Mr. Lipset, did you have something to say?
I have a little correspondence from myself. I just wanted to, as this is my final school committee meeting, offer my thanks to everybody, to teachers and staff, to administration, and especially to my school committee colleagues, both present and past. Not forgetting Mr. Kissel and Dr. Wells in this. This has been a long and fascinating 6 years. We've had a lot of bumps in the road. We've had some good discussions and some good arguments right up through tonight. But I'm really appreciative of the leadership that all of you have offered in really difficult times. I looking around the state and looking at any other school committee that I'm even remotely familiar with, what I think really sets us above is that we are made up of members who I think have a unique sort of commitment. Virtually everyone on this table has devoted a lot of their lives to public service. Many of us work with kids. We have a lot of really direct on-the-ground experience with the kinds of issues that face our schools, that face our students. I don't see that level of experience and engagement as I look around the state, and so I'm really, really appreciative to this committee for the commitment that you have and for the leadership you've shown. I think we're at a difficult time. Public education is under attack in this country. Public education is under attack from a federal government that, where do I start? That has cut our funding, that has tried to insert propaganda into our curriculum, that has gone after our students and their families with immigration enforcement action. We're taking water on all sides. And so the leadership of a committed group of people at the local level is incredibly important. That's also true when we look at local issues. I mean, I think, we have had a tendency in Woburn, both past and present, to prioritize short-term comfort over long-term acts that are going to better our city and better our schools. And I commend this committee for pushing back against that whenever possible. I think we have tried to lead and tried to demonstrate to the city where our city's going, what changes we are seeing, and what we need to do to best support our students and our staff and our families. I don't know that I've always seen that forward thinking from other portions of our city government, so I commend this committee for that. And I know that as I step off, and as Mr. Austin, I don't want to speak for you, but as we step off, that we are in really good hands with Ms. Daigle and Mr. Oliveira and the seasoned members of this committee. So I look forward to sitting back and watching what you all do next.
If you have any free time.
Thank you, Mr. Lipset.
Madam Chair.
Oh, Mr. Austin, did you want to say something too? I don't want to put you on the spot.
I will not follow Andrew Lipset to his eloquence.
Whatever, yeah.
I just first and foremost, I give honor to God, and I thank Jesus Christ for me having the opportunity to sit here, being the first man of color, most specifically black man, to be elected. It's been a privilege and an honor to even be here. This is not my area. I'm more of a private servant, not necessarily a public. I don't like to be in front of the camera and so forth. So I stepped out of my comfort zone because I was angry, and I decided to move with love to advocate for our students. And I considered my actions a success because I continued to advocate. That's what I sought to do, and that's what I did. I'm grateful for the colleagues that I've had. I've learned a lot. I want to say I'm grateful for those that voted for me in 24. I don't know, it felt like many years ago, 23. To see me fit to actually serve. This has been a tremendous experience. So, like Lipset said, I believe that our next candidates that are coming in are going to do amazing work. I believe so. I think they're amazing. I've spoken to both. They're amazing people. And I don't believe our seats will be in bad hands. I believe they'll be in good hands. So I'm grateful. You will still see me in the community. I can't say I'll be at these meetings as much, but I'll be here in spirit. So I'm grateful, and thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Alston. Okay, any more correspondence from the committee members? No. Moving on to future agenda items, we have the organization meeting sometime in January.
Monday, January 5th.
January 5th. At that meeting, the committee will elect a new chairman of the committee, chairperson of the committee, and also a vice chair. And that is essentially what happens at that meeting. Anything else before we adjourn? I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Dennis Russell.
Merry Christmas, yeah.
It has been
Stay
an
off
honor,
the ice.
everyone.
Stay off the ice.
Stay off the pond.
God. You reminded me of that when we saw